Do you know this recommendation when you tell someone that you have back pain? Yes, then take it easy for a while and wait until it goes away again. You really have to be careful. Some recommended resting positions can actually have the opposite effect. Why is that? Listen carefully as I explain and show it to you briefly. If you can understand the background right away, I will show you a very meaningful self-test that can really open your eyes, and as a result, the two most important Liebscher and Bracht exercises. And finally, I will describe one more way in which you can help yourself against the main cause of back pain simply by lying down. How do back pain arise? In our opinion, this has a lot to do with this position. Do you know them? That is sitting. And we sit for about 10 hours a day according to studies. What is always forgotten a little bit, many also sleep sitting in the lateral position with one or both legs drawn up, and that is also the sitting position. And we assume and observe it again and again, and also notice it during the exercises, that people here in the front are increasingly shortening, especially in the hip flexion, and hip flexor muscles play a major role. So if we sit so much and don't compensate for it, because sitting itself is not the problem is that we don't compensate for it, then they stand up, are pulled forward, want to stand up straight. In the first decades that still works, but then something pulls back because something pulls forward, something pulls back, and both together pull on the spine. That causes the pain, that causes herniated discs, and so on and so forth. This is the main problem. Look, the way I'm lying here, this is the most common resting position that is taken, also recommended. And why is this the protective posture? Because I am sitting again, because the body can do what it has become accustomed to while sitting all day, 10 hours, and how it sleeps, also the sitting position again, but it always leads further into the dead end and not out. What do you notice now? This is again a similar position because I have here almost a 90-degree angle again, and now we do the self-test and we have to do it on the ground or on a mat with a solid surface, because first you have to bring the lumbar spine as far as possible to the ground, so retract the belly button. And when you have that, then you start to drag yourself over the floor with your toes and stretch your legs more and more and listen to your back to see if there is any tension. You keep going down, and it may be that at an angle, which may be such that you notice now it becomes uncomfortable in the back, or you also notice how the lumbar spine is lifted off the ground upwards. Then you have reached the point where the hip flexor already shows its shortness, because it has to give way in this movement. And then you realize, oh dear, it is so short that it already pulls here. Maybe it also pulls there. Maybe you also come down without noticing a pulling. And this is now the test. You have to come down, at least rest on your knees with the back of your knees without any tension in the back. When tension arises in the back, for example here, then you know that you are already stretching from here. And we will now use that for the first exercise that is coming up. Before we start the first exercise, get a feeling. Go into your back pain, listen carefully to what it says. When do you notice it? Do you notice it maybe when running? Run a little, bend forward, then backwards to the side, turn a little, you get a feeling for it, because that is the language with which your body speaks to you. Pain is the language ultimately. And now we do the following. If you just noticed during this self-test that before the back of the knees touched the ground, there was already a pulling sensation in the back, then you now go relatively cautiously, carefully towards the wall, knowing full well that there is not much space to stretch further. First, we straighten the hip, pull back the belly button, and bring the groin forward. And it may be that you already feel the train there. The difference is, look, when I'm like this in the hip, then my pelvis is tilted. It can be clear that then less tension is felt. Then it would be practical to raise the pelvis as the first stretch. And then you can give a little bit more and very, very carefully stretch a little bit further, just as far as you notice that the pulling in the back is still tolerable. And this is the exercise, or you are already here. This is the same exercise, just at a different angle. and now we do them together first. Choose your position carefully, where you notice that it is clearly pulling in, but still tolerable. So it must still be a pleasant pain caused by this exercise. It can additionally pull in the back, also pull in the groin, pull a little in the hip joints, and we stretch first. Stretch further in. Breathe while doing it. And try increasingly, as it subsides, to maintain this intensity of stretching. It subsides because the muscles yield to the fascia, and as it subsides, you simply go in deeper and always hold yourself in a range that is still tolerable, still positively charged. Breathe it in. When exhaling, always go a little further into the stretch because that's when the body relaxes. And now steer once and push with force from the hip and abdomen, the hands against the wall, as if you wanted to push the wall away from you. Then you notice your stomach, your pelvic tension. Then you relax again and continue with the stretching. And tense up again. And relaxes again and continues into the stretch. And tense up again. And relaxes again, stretch a little further. Three deep breaths again. And then slowly come out again, take a short break in the opposite direction. That always feels good. Bend forward a little bit and take a few steps and feel in. Feel in. Has anything changed? It is quite possible that something has already changed because we have made what is too short in the front longer. Feel free to dive in, write a comment, and give a thumbs up of enthusiasm if you notice that it has indeed improved. And now we come to stretching number 2. Now we go to the opposite side. Namely what always tenses up in the back and in the buttocks to lift up the tension that comes from the front. This is the hard palate. And now we go in, sit loosely on the couch, bring your legs forward so that we have approximately a 90-degree angle, and then you will notice when going down, somewhere it starts to pull the back. Maybe here, maybe here, maybe there. It doesn't matter where, practice in your place. And the practice goes just like that. I come down so far, I go down to here. Where you feel the tension in the lower back, but also possibly in the groin and hip, go down until you feel it pulling noticeably. Increase that a little bit. Aha, it pulls in more clearly. And then you realize you shouldn't do more because then it becomes uncomfortable. We want to avoid that. It must still be comfortable. And now you take a little breath. Breathe a little, and the advantage, if you do it sitting, gravity pulls you imperceptibly a little further down. If gravity is not enough because everything is too tight at the back, then just pull yourself forward a little bit with your arms, no matter where you touch. And try to bend less in the thoracic spine, to lean forward, but try to increase the movement in the lower back. Breathe nicely, and you will notice at the latest, after we were around for 30 seconds, you clearly perceived something. That is also the reason why we stretch for so long, because 30 seconds ago it's hardly worth it. There's too little happening. So, and now target your back as follows. Imagine as if you wanted to go backwards again, so practically now come up with your back, with your torso. And there you notice, there you tighten at the back, that you can pull yourself up through these muscles there. Since you are holding on, you can tense up without any movement occurring. And that is the characteristic of our strength training, this isometric contraction in the longest stretch. A lot happens when you let go because now you notice that you are moving forward. So we make you flexible with it, you go more into stretching, and you gain strength in these angles, which is incredibly important also for metabolism, that you can move in there and so on. And then you pull yourself up, let go, and go down further. And pull up again and relax and go further down. And again you pull up, let go, and go down again. And breathe yourself a little more deeply. Always go a little further down while exhaling. Feel where you bend forward, preferably in the lower back, and let go. Letting go means trying to stay completely relaxed while you stretch further. The only thing that needs a little strength now is that you keep pulling yourself down with your hands if necessary. The entire remaining body should feel relaxed. And then you slowly come up again. Here we are again. Stand up slowly. Go briefly to the back into hyperextension, back into the counter movement. Take a few steps, feel it, and now I would like another comment. Write how you feel. If you haven't given a thumbs up yet and now have a reason, please give it now. Now I have promised you to tackle the biggest cause of back pain while lying down. And what the main reason is, we explained earlier, the shortened front, and how can I lie down? By using the back saver or simply stacking a few books on top of each other in such a way that you can lie on your sacrum, and when you stretch your legs, you feel the stretch. And you adjust the height of the back saver or the books so that when you stretch your legs, you are well stretched, but it must still be slightly positive. And so you simply stay as long as you like, at least 2 minutes. 2 minutes are important, but you can also add 5 or 10 minutes. Just straight. When you do it for the first time, it's such an intense stretch, you wouldn't believe it at first because you're just lying around a little bit, but it stretches so well. Then go out very carefully. I'll show you how, whether books or backrest, you lift yourself up very gently, push it out, and then come up very carefully again. And briefly, our back saver is one of our aids that we have all developed to make practicing easier for you, so you can do it more efficiently and also save time by simply lying around and maybe watching TV while stretching at the same time. If you want information about the back saver, please click here or on the image below the video. Yes, and the back pain is a huge issue, you know that. So it would be incredibly great, many people are affected by it, explain these connections to them. It's quite simple, you're sitting too far forward, force backward. People need to understand this because then they have the basis to realize that they can help themselves. Also share the video with them or do the exercises with them. Yes, participate in enlightening the world. If you would like to do a few more exercises for your back, then click here for the back routine. If you click there, then you subscribe to the channel. Definitely do that if you haven't already, and don't forget to activate the bell, and down here you go directly to the back saver. Otherwise, I am really happy if you have noticed what you can do for yourself there. Maybe you have already felt some relief. Goodbye until the next video.